Have you ever stood in a place where the ground beneath your feet holds centuries of sacrifice, rebellion, and unbreakable spirit? Because I have. Today we are heading deep into the lush green hills of Portland, Jamaica, to Charlestown, home of the Maroons. Now before we dive in, please go ahead and gently tap that like button. So let's start at the beginning, because you cannot truly appreciate Charlestown without understanding who the Maroons are and what they represent. Hundreds of years ago, enslaved Africans were brought to Jamaica against their will, forced to work on sugar plantations under brutal, inhumane conditions. But some of them refused. They ran into the rugged, almost impossible terrain of Jamaica's mountains, and they built their own free communities. They grew their own food. They created their own governance. They developed their own military strategies. And when the British came after them, these men and women fought back with everything they had. Eventually, the British had no choice but to sit down and sign a peace treaty, legally recognizing the Maroons' freedom and their right to govern themselves. Let that sink in for a moment. When I arrived, I was welcomed by the tour guide, Captain Padam, and he does not just recite facts. He carries his people's story with a quiet pride that you feel the moment he starts speaking.
The Ashanti people from Ghana has left, they are the most impactful group of all Africans that were here. So they have left majority of their culture here in these islands, especially amongst the indigenous people who are the Maroons.
He is warm, he is knowledgeable, and he has this way of making 300-year-old history feel like it happened last Tuesday. We started in the Asafu Yard, which is the sacred gathering space at the heart of the Charlestown community. This is where community meetings and ceremonies are held, where decisions are made, where the connections to African traditions are kept alive. The Asafu Yard is also a spiritual place where warriors would reset before going home after battle. Then we visited the Maroon Museum. This is intimate, personal, real. The walls are covered with photographs, documents, artifacts, and stories that paint a vivid picture of Maroon life. The resistance, the culture, the politics, the heroes. I stood in front of some of those displays for a long time, just reading, just absorbing. There is so much history that never made it into the textbooks I grew up with. And standing there felt like finally getting the full story. And then the drumming started. And when those drums began, I am not exaggerating when I say the sound went straight through my chest. It was not just music, it was communication. It felt like a memory. It was something ancient and alive all at the same time. The dancers moved with a power and a grace that made it clear. This is not just a performance for tourists. This is who they are. Before I left, I stopped at the Maroon craft store and picked up an abeng. It is a cow horn that the Maroons used to send messages across the mountains. They developed an entire system of communication using the horn. Signals and calls that the British soldiers could hear, but could never understand or decode.
Now on shore here, this is the Uncover Jamaica. Now this bird is telling you about past, present, and future. Now, every bird dips its beak in its tail feather to get oil to better take care of the rest of the body. Now, that is the role or duty of a leader.
Here's the thing that stayed with me most after leaving Charlestown. This is not a place frozen in time. The Maroons of Charlestown are not a chapter in a history book. They are a living, breathing, thriving community that is actively protecting their culture, their traditions, their language, and their land right now, today, in 2026. If you are planning a trip to Jamaica and Portland is anywhere on your radar, and it should be, make Charlestown non-negotiable.